Now, to learn more about light, in a minute. So, you have your own light to shine, and you all know that. So, don't be afraid to let it shine. And I think Reverend Vera McNally is going to let her light shine, and the title is The Rising Life Within. Reverend Vera.
All right, thank you very much, Tress. And good morning, everyone. And thank you for coming out on this wonderful day. Yes, it is snowing, but we need the snow. And we know it's not going to stay. That's the best part of it all. Okay. So, good morning and happy Easter, beautiful souls. And before we begin, I just want to let everybody know about Reverend Valentine. I was down in Calgary on Tuesday and spent the afternoon with her. She is doing much, much better. She's still on the road to recovery, so there's still more prayers needed for her, but she's doing much, much better. When I saw her a couple of weeks prior, when I was down, she was very pale. Very gray looking in her skin. When I saw her on Tuesday, her face was pink and flushing, and she was laughing and smiling, and we had joking, and so she's on the road to recovery. Still has a way to go. She's still in Calgary, so if anybody wants to send her anything, if anybody has her, you can text her, or you can send mail to her. I do have an address that you can send her. I don't know, like I said, how long she's going to be. If you might want to hang on to your notes till she comes to Red Deer, that would be fine too. But so healing treatment works. So, okay. So now let's just take a moment to set a clear and sacred intention for our time together today. And let us know that there is something stirring, something sacred, something alive within each and every one of us here. Not something that we must earn, not something we must chase, but something already present, right here, right in the center where your heart is. This is what we call the Christ consciousness, the awareness of the divine life expressing as us. Ernest Holmes wrote, "There is a power of good in the universe greater than you are, and you can use it." And I would say, you don't just use it, you are an expression of it. And here's the question about Easter that keeps asking every human heart. What exactly is meant to rise in us? Easter's powerful truth is that life cannot be suppressed, contained, or held down. Easter story is more about the remembrance of the past. It's an invitation. It calls us to allow the same life to rise within us, expressing our awareness, guiding our choices, and unfolding our healing and our freedom. So I invite you now just to let your mind go quiet enough to listen, to fully embrace the kingdom of the God that is within you. Not to a distant God, but to the present that is already right where you are. In the stillness, remember, the kingdom is within. The rising life is within. The answer is within. Let's take a deep breath and let it go, and allow your body to relax and become comfortable. And you may gently close your eyes if you choose as we begin with an opening treatment. There is one life, one presence, one power expressing through all things. This life is revealed itself, the sacred energy that rises, restores, and awakens. Today I recognize this life within me. It is not distant. It is not separate. It is the very core of my being, alive, radiant, and whole. On this Easter day, I release all stories. I release all fear, all doubt, all limitation. Like the stone rolled away, I allow every barrier to fall. And I rise into a deeper knowing of who I am. I rise into truth. I rise into love and I rise into a new life. I welcome a fresh awareness, a renewed spirit, and the quiet joy of new beginnings. I give thanks for the rising life within me now. I trust it, I embody it, and as I accept this treatment for myself, I accept it for each and every one here, and so it is. So today, as we gather on Easter Sunday, Resurrection Sunday, in the science of mind, resurrection, maybe I'm not ready to rise yet, is not only something to admire in history, it is something to experience in consciousness. Easter invites us to discover what is already true. Life is forever rising, forever renewing, forever expressing more in of itself right here where you are. As Ernest Holmes stated, we have a power within us greater than anything we shall ever contact in the outer, a power that can overcome every obstacle and set us free. When we hear the word resurrection, we may picture the empty tomb, the rolled away stone, and the dramatic turning point in the story of Jesus. But metaphysically, resurrection is a soul's refusal to be defined by limitation. And that's similar to what Edith had shared about the science of mind, isn't it? That when we turn away from limitation and we look at the blessings that's inside of whatever's going on in your life, then it's not a limitation. It's a healing. So in this moment, we rise in awareness from a limited belief of this is all there is into there is more. There's more to life than what is already here. On page 471, The Science of Mind, we must be born again, not of the flesh, but of the spirit. Easter gently asks each of us, what is a stone that is ready to roll away from you? Have you thought about that one? Is it a stone of fear? How many times has fear stopped us from doing what we love to do? Like, I love to sing, but not in a crowd unless everybody else is singing with me. So I wouldn't get on that stage and do that, but I will sing in my car as loud as I want. So is it a fear? No, I just know I can't sing, and I know I'll empty this room in 3 seconds flat. So it's not a fear, but what fear is holding you back? Is it a fear to getting on stage and sharing your story? A lot of us are. A lot of us are afraid to get up and say what it is unless we're in a small crowd. What about a stone of resentment? Do we carry resentments? Those stones can get pretty heavy in our lives when we resent something. And not only that, resentment also can bring disease. What about the stone of self-doubt? Do we go around doubting ourselves, doubting what we're capable of? And the quiet belief that says, it's too late. How many of us, as we get older, oh, I can never do that. It's too late. I'm like 70-some years old. I mean, I could never do that. Yes, you can. The only time you can't do it is when you're longer walking on planet Earth. Nothing is stopping you except for fear, resentment, self-doubt, or we think it's too late. The stone represents anything unconscious that feels heavy, fixed, and final. The tomb is a place we put ourselves when we believe that limitation defines us. But the Christ energy within is never confined. As Jesus said, I am the resurrection and the life in John 11:25. And resurrection is the moment we withdraw our agreement with the limitation and realign with spirit. Here is the story of the 3 days of being in the tomb. It speaks of a pattern we're all very familiar with. There is a first day, when something ends or breaks open. So that's a tomb. The rock is placed in front of you. So that's when you need to pay attention, because something is ending and something is beginning, but are you afraid of that beginning? The second day is when the stone is about to begin to turn away, but it's still there. It's when the heart grieves and the mind wrestles with what is. And that's when we're inside doing the healing. And then the third day, and that's when the stone is rolled away and when something deeper arises and we step out. Not because everything is perfect when we step out of that tomb, but because something within us remembers its source. Ernest Holmes reminds us, spirit is forever seeking to express through us into greater and greater freedom. You may not have called it resurrection, but you have lived it. When courage appeared after heartbreak, when forgiveness came after years of holding on, when you stopped living in the past and stepped into the present, that was the rising life within you. And often resurrection is preceded by surrender. Now, surrender is not defeat. It is transformation. When we surrender into something that is greater than we are, that is transformation. Jesus modeled this when he said, "Not my will, but yours be done," in Luke 22:42. Something in us releases the old identity. The ego resists because we don't want change. You know how we are with change. We're going to dig in and hold on to everything we got. But the soul will yield to what needs to come. The cross becomes a place where the smaller self grows into the larger self, when human limitations opens to divine opportunities and possibilities. The science of mind says the Christ is not a surname. It is a divine pattern. It is a spiritual identity within every person, whole, loved, guided, and one with God. You may call it the source, you may call it the divine principle, you may call it the presence, you can call it whatever you want, but we are one with it. Ernest Holmes says the Christ is a true idea of God and man, and Easter becomes the awakening of the Christ idea within us. It is not something we must earn. It is something we are here to recognize. Sometimes recognition comes gradually. Even in the resurrection story, there are moments when the present is there, but not immediately recognized. So how many times have we asked for something, and it's right there for us, but we're not seeing it? We're not looking at it. We're looking at it sometimes with closed eyes, a closed mind. So why do we do this? Because we're still looking through eyes of yesterday. We're not looking at the present, we're looking back. Well, that didn't work. Why am I going to do that? Well, I was afraid to go whitewater rafting. Look at all those people getting hurt. I mean, it could be me. So what's stopping you? Just go and do it anyway. I remember years ago we went whitewater rafting. Rev Tress, I don't know if you were with us when Tony Malo and Jerry and all of us went. It was years ago when I was at the center here. And we all got keened, and away we went on our trip. And Tony falls out of the raft. And we get her back in and ask she's okay, everything's okay. And we get to where we were meeting after for our lunch and stuff. And she said, "Gee, my wrist hurts." Well, she broke her wrist. And so, of course, they haul her off and into the hospital. She goes and she gets mended. She comes back the next Sunday and she says, "Only Reverend Doug will take you down the river to teach you a lesson." And that is true. So basically, resurrection invites new vision. As it is written, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So how do we live this resurrection? Not by pretending everything is fine, and not by forcing belief, but entering into practice. And here is a simple way to live Easter this week. It's called the 4 R's. Remember, release, receive, and rise. So remember, what is the most true? God is present, God is good, God is able. Release, what no longer serves? Fear, resentment, control, and doubt. Receive, what is being offered? A new idea, a new beginning, a new possibility. And then rise. Take one step that aligns with life. You cannot do the rise unless you do the other 3. You need to remember, you need to release, and you need to receive. And then you can rise. Because resurrection is not abstract. It moves, it speaks, and it lives. Easter faith is not denial. It's a deeper knowing that life is stronger than death. Love is greater than fear, and something within us is always being made new. Came across this beautiful poem by Jan Richardson. It's called The Magdalene's Blessing for Easter Day. Now, I'm not sure if you all know who Magdalene is in the Bible. She was the one that went to sat with a tube with Mother Mary. And she goes like this: You hardly imagine standing there. Everything you ever loved suddenly returned to you, looking you in the eye and calling your name. And now you do not know how to abide this hole in the center of your chest where the door slams shut and swings open at the same time. Turning on the hinge of your aching and hopeful heart, I tell you this is not a banishment from the garden. This is an invitation, a choice, a threshold, a gate. This is your life calling to you from a place you could never have dreamed. But now that you have glimpsed its edge, you cannot imagine choosing another way. So let the tears come as anointing, as consecration, and then let them go. This blessing gathered itself around you. Let it give you what you will need for this journey. You will not remember the words. They do not matter. All you need to remember is how it sounded when you stood in the place of death and heard the living call your name. And as we bring this message home, let us remember resurrection is not a single moment on the calendar. It's a principle of being. It is what life does, and when we align with it through expectancy, through spiritual imagination, and through daily choice, through treatment, through forgiveness, through circulation, we cooperate with the moment of the universe. So today, we do not simply remember resurrection, we become it. So let's say together, life is rising in me. Love is guiding me. Truth is freeing me. I am an outlet for spirit. And so it is. And today, I am also going to do the closing announcements.